and what's this week's Devil in the Detail podcast. I'm Rob Parkinson, and I'm here talking all things. So for Devils joining me the show this week, as ever, we've got Paul Parkin. Had a week off this week, Parky, recharging our batteries for the next phase of the season.
Yeah, a bit of a mid-season rest. I think it's probably what we needed. We were getting a bit worn out. You build up to the season and your pre-season, you hit the season flying, and then all of a sudden, you hit a wall, don't you? I think that's where we got. We needed a week off, so we had the cup semi-finals this weekend, so it's given us a bit of a breathing space, and hopefully the players as well a bit of a chance to recharge their batteries, and we can look forward to the back end of the season now, the second half, if you like. But yeah, it was nice to have just a bit of week off with the sunshine as well. So it's been a decent week, really.
How were the lakes? Was it sunny and nice and warm for you?
Incredible. We were treated to the place we stayed. I'm not going to bore people, but it was absolute blew my mind. It had everything you want, and fortunately, even though there was 8 adults and 5 kids there, I managed to sneak away and watch the game on the biggest television screen I've ever seen on my own. So that was a winner, except maybe not the game itself. But and then I had to obviously escape. I had a great time. The sun was out. We saw the Northern Lights clear as a bell up there. It was dark. We were right over Windermere. It was perfect. So yeah, absolutely. I love it. And it's just what I needed again. That we're talking about recharging. Just getting away from being here and the weather we've had and everything else, going up there, spending a few days with family, and it was nice. I missed the Leigh game, obviously, and apparently the atmosphere and the fans were tremendous. I'm gutted, obviously, I missed that, but probably weighing it all up, would have rather been there or watching that live. Yeah, I probably made the right decision.
Yeah, I just want to quick mention about the fans. They were amazing at Leigh, like you said. The last 20 minutes where I think everyone just sort of gave it up, basically, but just kept singing and kept going, kept cheering and all that. And it was a bit of a flashback to the glory days when we never won anything, games-wise. But yeah, there were a lot of Leigh fans around me just sat watching our fans sing. And that's a sort of the sign of how good we are for me, when your opposition fans aren't watching the match, they're watching you.
Yeah. But I think that's something that I know in recent weeks, or even over the last year, we mentioned about our fans getting a little bit spoiled, maybe thinking we're up here, we should be here. Why if we lose a game, it's not good enough. And that's the flip side. That's where you go. We've been beaten, but we still got to get behind the team. There's another game coming up in a couple of weeks. Just get back, get back with it. Don't give up on them. Don't turn your back and walk away. Don't get too angry, and just take it on the chin, move on, and enjoy your night out. That's the other thing. So it was good. It was good to see, and I did, like you say, I read lots of reports on Twitter and other places, or X or whatever it's called, from Leigh fans who said they were sort of fascinated by our lot. So well done to the boys and girls, and let's hope we can carry that on through the season. Now let's get behind the boys.
Yeah. I spent the week off putting together our independent podcast awards application. Parker, getting towards the end of it now. Like I said, we're going to have to ask for our listeners' help to get us over the line when votes come to pass later in the year. But looking back over the last 12 months and all the great stuff that we've covered and done, and we've put in for this application, it really kind of gets a bit emotional, because obviously, covering Salford Red Devils, we cover everything that goes on, don't we? We talk to players, we talk to coaches, we talk to people behind the scenes, give their stories about, their lives and what's going on as well. It's a real eye opener what we actually do.
Yeah, it's been, look, you asked me to put something together in terms of what what the podcast has meant to me and that sort of thing. And when I sat down and thought about it, I could have probably gone on for a long time, a lot longer than I did. I thought I'd better keep it as brief as possible. It gives an opportunity for me personally to get out and speak to put my views across to other people, whether they like them or not. That's what it's all about. But yeah, what the podcast has offered, I think, Salford fans, is something we've never had. Is that you got a chance of a voice if you want. Anyone can join in. You can make your opinions clear or whatever. But the main thing is that we want to be, we want to inform people about what goes on at the club, and we want to support the club while still staying independent and being able to say how we feel about whatever it is. And it's a good opportunity for that. And I think the work that you guys did setting it up for 10 years has been phenomenal. And I've jumped on the bandwagon fairly late, but the sort of appreciation you get when you go to a game or something like that, and someone says something, you're like, wow, it still gets me. And I think it's just giving people a chance to express what they feel and give them an outlet, give them something. I don't ever think Salford's ever offered enough, if you like, as entertainment. It's like, there's your match of the weekend and off you go. It's always been like that. And I think maybe we offer something that just to take people's mind off the life and make them, think about rugby league. And I think it's a great thing. So yeah, hopefully everyone will get behind us. And let's be honest, there's going to be nothing else to vote for this year. So so hopefully, fingers crossed. Whether you love us or loathe us, I mean, you're listening, and that's the main thing. But if when the chance does come, you can just click a button or send the email or whatever on our behalf. That'd be magnificent.
Yeah, so we'll keep you informed as we go through the rounds and see what we need when we need it. So lots to go at. Look back at the Leigh defeat. Ladies were beaten in Sheffield. Reserves were beaten against Wigan. Got all the big news. New signing coming in this week from Wigan. And then we're going to preview the match at weekend against Wigan Warriors. So we'll start with a Leigh defeat. So Salford Devils were defeated away at Leigh 40 points to 12, Parker. Disappointing result. I thought Leigh were just a better team in every department. We talk about playoffs and we talk about levels, and I think that game meant more to Leigh than it did to us. If you look at the league table and where Leigh are situated, it was important they got the result. Yeah, we go into, we need to win every game, but I think they knew what they needed to do to stay in the hunt for that sort of top six spot, and I think we were caught cold.
Yeah, I know. On the podcast, you asked me for what I thought score prediction would be, and I went with Salford, and I was reluctant to do that. And then when I did my Parky's picks the day after, I'd seen the squads, and I went with Leigh straight away. You can't lose sort of 5 players 1 week to the next in a squad as small as thin as ours, and expect to go to somewhere like Leigh, who I know they had a poor result against Cast when it went to Golden Point, but the week before they destroyed Catalan. You don't want to turn up at a team that's playing with confidence, getting players back. And they're a good team, they've got some great individuals and are well coached, well drilled, and certainly at home they're a different animal. So I expected to lose. The problem was for me that it was a lackluster performance. I think in Super League, if you're 1% off, you're going to get your backside handed to you, and we did. And it, as an analogy, from what I thought when I was watching it, it reminded of some of my less impressive Monday mornings at work in the past, where I've gone in and gone, I'm not up for this. I can't be bothered. I had a big weekend. I'm off it. I get Monday out of the way and just concentrate. And that's what it felt like for me, watching us. Some of our defence was weak, which is not really us. Usually we're really strong. Certainly on our line, we're really good. But our attack was sloppy, offloads that didn't need to be made, that we did. We just kept turning the ball over. Discipline. We had a bit of unfortunate. Obviously, we lost sort of 5 players in the week, and then straight away Jack Ormonroyd, who's been in great form, takes a knock. King V during the game seemed to take a knock, and we lost him for a bit. We couldn't afford, with only having 1, maybe 2 forwards available anyway on the bench. It was always going to be a struggle. You start losing players. I'm not making excuses. Leigh were a better team and richly deserved the win. And probably, I think, could have scored more. And that's a bit of a worry. But all taken into account, it was a bad day at the office with a weakened squad. I think we only can learn from that and get better. I just think certain individuals didn't turn up on the day. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes, whether there was illness or whether there's someone's not trained half the week or whatever. And when you've already got your squads on the phones, the week before we beat Huddersfield in a great performance. So something not right there in the week. Players have dropped out with injuries. We're not sure why 3 or 4 of them are missing. We don't there's no sort of update on that. So that's a bit of a mystery. But it's a bad result, but it's behind us now. We've just got to move on and try and eradicate games like that. I said at the start of the season, no matter how well we're playing, we will get a thumping this season. We may get another one yet. We may get two. Who knows? Because of the way we play the game, we do offload in crazy situations at times, turn the ball over. You give a good team a lot of ball with confidence on a nice dry track, they can do that to you. And that's what happened.
Yeah. I agree with you there, Parky. Obviously, like sort of losing Jack Ormonroyd was a big blow, like you said. But at one point, we had Ormonroyd, King V, and Singleton off at the same time. So we had Chris Hankinson playing second row. And it's obviously people are putting bodies on the line, aren't they? Trying to keep the momentum going, trying to fill in where they can. And it's difficult because obviously, like you say, Leigh were red hot, weren't they? Really, and we just, like you say, weren't at the races. But positive thought of that is, well, we got it out of the system. Yeah. We've been off for a week now. I know a lot of players say, I'd love to play tomorrow to sort it out, but in that situation, when you've obviously took a bit of an hammering, you've had a tough few weeks, haven't you? I'm sure they've all had, a week away or with the families just chilling to recharge. I think that's the important part. I think, for us to reach the playoffs, we need to make sure that the majority of our squad is fit and healthy and focused on the challenges, because obviously people get jaded, don't you, like we talked about, and it's so important, the likes of Paul Rowleys, and the people behind the scenes who are looking after these players, make sure they're tuned in, ready, and I'm sure they will be. We're confident that where we are, we're on the right side of the league table at the moment, but the only way you stay there is you keep winning. So that's the key. It's this next 4-6 weeks going up to the Challenge Cup final. You've got to make sure that you continue to win to stay where we are.
Yeah, I think it just shows the importance of squad and the squad size and depth that we daily lack. We've known that. We knew that before the season started. And this is where, at this time of the season, when bodies are starting to tire, we've had that sort of first part of the season sort of boost and bump, if you like, and then players start picking up injuries, they're getting knocked, they're losing some of that buzz from the start. This is where it gets really tough, and that's where you need fresh bodies to come in, and we just haven't got that. And unfortunately, it culminated on that game with Leigh. Hopefully this week off now has given us a chance to get a few bodies back to build us for the next few weeks. And like you say, then we get another break with a cup final in a few weeks' time. So it's a short block, this one, but we can just get through, and hopefully that's not too bad. But it just shows, like I say, the importance of having a squad. Some squads have got 30 plus players that they can just call up. I mean, Wigan's a prime example. They've been loaning players out left, right and centre just because they can. They'll call them back at any time if they start to get a bit low and they know the match fit. We just don't have that. And that's where I say these results are going to come for us, because we just don't have enough in reserve. But I think the boys, like you say, someone like Chris Hankinson, we've got that. We've got, obviously Joe Mellor didn't play, but he's another one. Chris Atkin, who will play anywhere for you. That's where we're quite lucky that we've got players like that. I'll just put their hand up and say, yeah, okay, boss. Chris Hankin could say that he's played wing and centre all his career or whatever. And say to Paul Rowleys, do you think I'm going in the back row? I can't. I'm not. That's not me. I can't do that. But no, it was, I'm on the bench, I'm playing. It's just going back to fitness. It's a big ask, and there'll be players out there who are walking wounded as well. So I'm not taking anything away from Leigh, but I'm also not taking anything out of that game. It was a poor game. It's behind us. We've just got to look forward now and like I say, get these bodies back. Even the likes of Andrew Dixon, who I think's been in great form for us, was a loss. Never mind, Shane Wright to this world, the players that we knew we'd already lost in Shorrocks and Mellor. It just Gil Dudson couldn't play. Once we've lost players like that, we're going to struggle. Key, important, experienced players, and so we got that game out of the way now, and hopefully we can just look forward to this next group of maybe 3-4 games, then have another week off, and then look to the back end of the season, the playoffs.
Yeah. So positives, Ryan Briley's try. Good work by Chris Atkin and Callum Watkins. Sent the Salford full-back over. 12-6 at that point. It's Rowley ball, isn't it? It's promoting the ball. It's people moving into space, and well-worked try there.
Yeah, it was. Callum did brilliantly to get that ball out, by the way. He's a few times in the game, there was one where he made a bit, and then he kicked the ball through into the corner and forced the drop out. And, he's just such a smart, experienced player. And we know that. But yeah, it wasn't at that point. I thought we were we're back in. It was like we woke up. And we went on to make 2 or 3 breaks and then did something stupid like threw the ball out or there was one where Chris Atkin didn't play the ball correctly because he was trying to get up quick and there was interference, by the way, but it's still your responsibility to get up and play the ball. We were hammered penalty wise and I'm not going to blame the referee for it, but it was it didn't look a fair fight in certain circumstances during the game, which put us on the back foot. But like you say, it's that rolly ball mentality. And every time we made a break, we were looking to offload. Sometimes it's just not right. And it didn't come off that night. Nene McDonald was another one who made a couple of great breaks. Again, like he does, but then slipping the ball out to nobody and Leigh, picking the ball up and going the other way. But I thought when we'd scored with Briley, I thought that's it. We're back in this now. We'll get a bit of confidence. Things might start to stick, but it just wasn't to be.
Yeah, the Josh Charnley try just after half time. I think it's his 300th career try. I think that was the killer. Just burst the line and just he's a class act. He knows where the line is. He's advancing in ages, but he's still got the afterburners when he can. He sailed in at the corner, and it was good night Vienna after that.
Yeah, he's been a great finisher all his career, hasn't he? And for me, that was one of the poorest tries, though. Not the poorest try we conceded, by the way, but some of the defence was just not strong enough. And there was a lot of that through the game, a lot of one-on-ones that we just fell off. Certain players stood out for me doing that quite a bit. Now, again, whether they're just tired and they just couldn't keep up, I don't know. But they're the disappointing ones. If you're beaten by skill, that's absolutely fine. But when someone just runs through a player, that you've got to question that player's, sort of state at that time. Was he in the right position? Has he committed fully to it? And there was a few incidences like that. But Josh Charnley, when he's in the clear, it's a great chase back. I think it might have been Ryan Briley who chased him back. Great chase, but you're not likely to catch him. He's still one of the quickest in the league at his age. So yeah, but that, like I say, scored just after half time. They're the worst times to concede, and we did that.
Yeah, kind of chucks Paul Rowleys game plan out the window, doesn't it, when that happens? Yeah. Especially the first 10 minutes, then like the first 5 of the second half, he's probably sat there thinking, well, what happens now? Told him 15 minutes to tell him what to do, and then suddenly all changes, done it. But it's the way it is. Leigh obviously got hold of the game, then started playing some champagne rugby. We were just trying to tackle everything that moves, but yeah, like I said before, they were red hot. We were a bit knackered. Few injuries. Yeah, it wasn't pretty, and I'm sure, like you say, the boys had a week off. Forgot about it now, hopefully.
Yeah, one other thing I wanted to mention. I'm not blaming this specifically, but it is a big bugbear of mine, which maybe we can cover one day in a separate pod. Really, is contract time. In terms of start of May into May, players start talking to other clubs. Do we know how many of them players' minds may be elsewhere, maybe, or being distracted by certain things, not being concentrating on the training that week because they've been travelling to go and sign on for another club, or discuss, you don't know what goes on behind the scenes. This is what I mean, and that's why I think this sort of May date is ridiculous. It's a crazy. I would have it open all year and let players discuss what they're going to do next year, whatever they want, or save it for a different period or whatever. But it seems that every year it upsets something. Somebody comes in and they know that their future lies away. How much commitment are you going to put in? I don't know. I'm not blaming that, but it's what goes on away from the pitch that sometimes distracts players in the lead up to a game. That won't have helped us at all.
I suppose that's the nature of the game, innit? They're professionals. They've got to make sure they look after their own career and their families. You just trust in them that they're focused on the game and they're not worried about outside noise and things influence them. But we're not going to be able to know that. It's only the player knows that himself, doesn't it? So we can't question them on their headspace. They will question themselves and come up with their answer.
I'm not questioning their application or anything like that in terms of when they go on a pitch. No player goes out to lose. I don't believe that for 1 minute. I'm not questioning their professionalism. I'm more what goes on during the week psychologically. You're thinking of your family. You're thinking of your future. You're maybe not concentrating on the training. You're not maybe putting in a little 1%. So, Paul Rowleys may say, go home and study this, do this, because this is what's going to happen. You get home and you go, I need to talk to my agent tonight about, this contract, or there's 2 clubs coming in for me. And this is for every club, not just us. Obviously, I just think it's a bit of a crazy time to have it. And it could be a distraction for players. And in a squad like ours, where you can't go, look, if your mind's not on it, I'm going to put this guy in. We can't do that. If your mind's not on it, tough, you're playing. So it's just an extra something that maybe people don't always consider that might be going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, possibly. Another good highlight from the match was a Tim Laffey try just at the end. Weed his way through.
Yeah.
About 3 players and scored. Game was gone at that point, but it was a good finish by Tim.
Yeah, as you'd expect. He's always a threat, isn't he? And it was, funnily enough, I'd given up by then, and I just thought there's nothing going to happen. And I watched it back later on and saw it. Consolation, obviously, but we kept going. Kept going till the 80th minute, like we've got to. And again, that's another level of professionalism. Game's gone, but you still keep going, trying to get the points on the board, trying to narrow that gap. And it's probably as good as it was going to get for the evening. But I'm sure the players just wanted to pack up and get off the pitch after 60 minutes because they'd seen enough of themselves. But they kept going and, like you say, scored that try at the end.
Yeah. So looking at the stats, here's a good run for you, Parky. We'll go team stats first. Yeah. Completion rate. Leigh, according to the Super League website, we're at 102% completion rate. I know. They're completing sets without actually getting the set now.
You know what I said about the referee? That might be it.
Yeah.
They were getting extras somehow. Yeah. They'll get an extra 2% of something that doesn't exist. How bizarre that is.
Must be science beyond our human explanation, maybe.
I have been questioning these stats week in, week out recently, and I think that's one that proves that they're probably not quite accurate.
No. There is that.
Completion rate.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right. We were at 66%.
Right. So we might have been at 90%, but nobody will ever know. No. I think by judging by it, I think that's quite high for us for that. Because normally we do complete around 80%, don't we, as an average? So it just shows that it's there in the proof that we weren't at it.
Meters made by them 1,308 meters. We made 791 meters. They made 246 tackles. We made 342 tackles. They had 15 dummy sort of runs from dummy half. We had 5. We made 12 errors. They made 6 errors. And this is a good one. Play the balls in the opposition 20. 24 for them, 7 for us, which kind of shows where the game's being played.
Yeah. I mean, them stats just back up what we witnessed, what we saw, except the 102%. We didn't control the ball when we had it, so you're not going to get possession in their 20. That's not going to happen. The dummy runs, the dummy half runs was telling. No, obviously Joe Mellor's not there. That's dropped off a lot because that's something we do quite a bit. And obviously Paul Rowleys, being a hooker, knows how important that is. Quick play and off we go. So it shows that we were dominating the tackle, so there was no way that we were going to get that quick play the ball so that the dummy half could make a run. and we were lacking any real quality in that area. And that I will say, because is it Ipape for Leigh?
Yeah,
I thought he was magnificent. I thought that when I watched the hooking performance, that's exactly what I wanted to see from any player. I thought he was out of this world. He dominated us every time he was up, getting the ball quick. How many runs he must have had, and every time he did, he made meters. Absolutely brilliant performance from him, and that's where we lacked, I think, and that's the importance of having a really good hooker.
Yeah. Top tacklers: Cade Cuss with 42, Brad Singleton with 31, King Bunyaya 26, Sam Stone 31, Callum Watkins 33, Oliver Partington 51.
I mean, it's good to know. I'd like to see how many missed tackles there were, though. That's on the flip side of that. But yeah, I mean, if you're putting in 51 tackles in a game, you're not going to have much left to do anything else with. So that's decent. And then, like I say, there's a few there in the 30s. And so we were doing a lot of work in defence, but clearly, like I say, just by watching it, you could see that was the problem. We were just doing too much defending and didn't control the ball when we had it. So therefore, we were just lumping it on ourselves.
Yeah. Top meter makers: Nini McDonald with 105, Tim Laffey 87, Callum Watkins 76, and King V with 58. The rest were between 50 and 30.
Well, I mean, it doesn't surprise me about Nene.
Mm.
I think he gets over 100 every week. That's what he does. But without, the trouble is there, I think you're lacking, 4 or 5 forwards? 4 forwards, definitely. You're not going to make that many meters. We have got a small pack anyway, realistically, in terms of build, of bulk, compared to others. And really sure. And then when you bring your players off the bench, who, like Chris Hankinson, who isn't a forward, but he's got to play in the forwards, it's not going to work. So it doesn't surprise me, and I'm not overly disappointed when you say that about, we only had so many players between 30 and 50. We think back to the one that I mentioned all the time, the OKR game a couple of years ago, where our top meter maker made 30 odd meters. We've come a long way. So, like I say, it's just one of them games, one of them nights that we just need to forget and move on from.
Yeah. Big thanks for your 3-word man of the match reports. Andy Lancashire, running on empty. His man of the match was Cade Cuss. Dave Parker, worst in a while, Cuss. OSF, absolutely out-muscled. Their man of the match was the Salford fans, like we said before. Fantastic, support from the for the lads. Dom Hall, Leigh outplayed us. He also thinks the fans were the man of the match. Anita thought we'd win. Ethan Ryan, Liz Wright outplayed fans again. Mike need a prop Partington, but we talked about that, haven't we? And Paul Rowleys talked about that, and Chris News talked about that as well. And Paul King, I think, talked about how the way we play, we might not necessarily need a prop. They just need people in different areas, sort of to continue to make big meters. A big prop would be nice, but the way Paul Rowley likes to play, which is quick play the balls early in the set to gain penalties and meters, it's not a massive. I don't think it's at the top of the shopping list.
No, although I mean, the fans can say we said at the start of the year the props were nowhere near what we need. For me, what we need, it's not just about the size of the prop. We would love a big prop, but we need a ball handler because of the way we play. Let's say someone like Tyler Dupree, but that kind of player, big, athletic, but can offload. Got a bit of pace about them and all, but there aren't that many about. That's the problem you've got, and the problem we've got is we haven't got any money. That's the end of it all, really. We brought in Gil on loan. He's missed a few games while he's been here, and that's not going to help us. He's a big prop, experienced, knows the game. Singleton was in great form, got injured. Another good big prop forward who can offload. King V is a big player, and obviously, Jack, but there's nothing behind that. That's what worries me. When we're bringing players off the bench, someone with impact, someone, I'm not, believe me, I'm not saying this, right, as in we should, but like a Sam Cassiano. But when they come on, people go, oh. Now, generally, I laughed when he came on because he was unfit and a bit rubbish. But that kind of, even a Paulie kind of a big man that's got that with the ball, to cause problems to a tiring, that's where I would love to see us invest. But it's invest what? Because you can't do it with magic beans, unfortunately. So until we get some money, I suppose that's the situation we're in. We've got to make the best of what we've got. But I do agree with what the fans say. I do think another prop is essential if we're going to carry on and make these playoffs.
Yeah, I think I agree with that because obviously I think it's always important you have a plan B, and I think a big grufty forward would be a plan B because if you can't move the ball quick enough because their defence has got it figured out and everyone's moved up in the right time, then let's have a monster forward that we just roll forward. But the fact that this probably monster forward probably won't be able to be as agile as, let's say, Gil Dudson, for example, or Jack Ormonroyd, because he's going to be like, 30 kilo heavier, let's say. So he's not be able to move as quick in the defensive line. So Paul Rowleys likes his pack to be mobile. So he's going against his own principles by maybe investing in a big, ugly prop.
I think what you're looking for is an Alex Walmsley, but they don't exist. There aren't many Alex Walmsleys out there. Big, troubling forward who can offload, he can take 3 or 4 men, get up, quick play the ball, cause trouble. Then you can take him off, and then you look at Saints and the forwards. They've got like James Bell and Sirenen and people like that who've got a little bit of pace as well. And they've got athletes in there as well. So it they've got that exactly the kind of mix you want, but these players don't. They're just not there. And if they are there, they want a premium price. And a premium price only comes when you're filling a stadium full of 12,000 fans every week. So, what came first, chicken and egg? But it's going to be it's difficult. Hopefully, there's somebody out there, maybe someone in the Championship who can be developed, who can be turned into that. But we're halfway through a Super League season now. So if you pick somebody up, getting them up to speed into the way we play, into our group, is difficult. So maybe it's a case we have to wait and see and just try and get through the year with it.
Yeah, trust the process. Trust Paul Rowley. Trust Paul King. They will steer the ship. And if they find somebody who they think will add to our squad and they've got enough magic beans to pay for it, then the beans will get spent. Christopher Sloan, need more middles. Stephen Doyle, not enough. Partington and Mike Murphy, want to forget. And that is man of the match was the fans again. So you might have to put fans in as one of our 3-word man of the matches. Parker. I don't know what happens if we win. I don't know who we give it to.
But I think from some of the comments that you hear most weeks, I could probably detract half of it anyway. So I don't think the fans are going to win. No, it's great that we do get behind the boys. And I think the one thing that generally happens with Salford fans is we have a bit of a sense of humour about it. And the fact that most of us are realists and know where we kind of sit in the hierarchy of rugby league. And, we for what we've achieved in the last 5 years, we should be floating on air, really. We're still surviving. We've had a stadium that we nearly didn't have. Now it looks like the future's secure. And we're building now. We're trying to do something else. And I think fans are sort of getting on board with that and going, yeah, it is what it is. And we know only too well that being a Salford fan is like being on a roller coaster. 1 minute you're up here but that's the way it is. So you just got to keep supporting them, haven't you? There's days when I walk away from the ground thinking, why do I bother with that? And these other weeks where I'm in tears crying because, they're making all my dreams come true. So, it is what it is. And we've just got to, sometimes you got to bite your tongue and just get on with it. And last week was one of them. So well done to the fans for getting behind the boys.
But like any other roller coaster, Parker, we'll go and buy another ticket. We'll go in the queue again, and we'll ride it again on Sunday. And that's what we do. That's what supporting a team's all about. And it, like you say, it's that roller coaster ride, and we're hooked on that adrenaline rush, dopamine rush, is it, where you get the high and the low. So that's what we're all on, aren't we? Let's be fair. Let's move on to our ladies. They were in action. Sheffield away 2 weeks ago. Defeated 40 points to 20. Parker. Sheffield a good side. 4 wins on the spin for them. Beat Alton the week before 40-30. So tough contest for Mike Grady's ladies.
Yeah, obviously not a great result. We've been on a decent run of late. But again, this is the other side of that, having a week off kind of thing as well, because we had that nines tournament in between. When you're in the flow, you don't want it to stop. It's, if you're getting beat, you think we need a week off here to regroup and regather. When you're winning, you just want to carry on. And we've had a week off, and like you say, got to Sheffield. And Sheffield, by the way, as a club, are doing great things. I think that the first team's been going pretty well as well. I think they're doing it right. They've been building for a few years from the bottom up, and the ladies is clearly part of that. So fair play to them. And like you said, they've been doing well this year. So a difficult away trip. Again, a lot of points, and that's something we were struggling with early on in the season. We were struggling to score tries, so that's a positive, I suppose. But I mean, we haven't seen the game. We don't know how it flowed, and anything incidents that may have happened during the game. I'm only presuming we did have a full squad, but again, that full squad is who couldn't make it this week, who wasn't there, and it's difficult to sort of assess where we're at the moment. But again, you're going to face defeat, and it's how you bounce back from that, and that's what the ladies have got to look at.
Yeah. Salford opened the scoring, started well. Try from captain Tasaska Corran, danced through the Sheffield defence to play the ball, and Salford led 4-0. Obviously, like you say, Sheffield on a bit of a run. They had Izzy Brennan, who is a dual registration, I think, from York. And we've talked about how teams have partnerships with other clubs. I think, was it Alton and Leeds? I think when we were coming up through the championship, and Izzy Brennan was outstanding by all accounts. She scored the first try for Sheffield, and then centre Phoebe Evans scored to make it 12-4. Salford hit back though with a try from Jen Myler. Ball moved across. She cut back against the angle, crashed over to make it 12-10, and we were still in the game.
Yeah, this sort of dual reg thing, I know it happens in the men's game, so you can't really say much. But from a girl who's playing at York Valkyrie, who are Super League champions, to our level at the moment, seems a little bit unfair, to be honest, because York are all full-time players, so that seems a little bit harsh, to be honest. I don't know how that works in the leagues, but that's the way it is, and we have to do it tough. We have to scramble around at times to fill shirts, so they're borrowing players off Super League clubs who are full time. Shows the difference, I suppose, and one player can make a difference. Certainly at this level, she'll bring a lot of professionalism with her, and she's obviously well coached. So yeah, but at that point, 12-10, you're still in the game, and you're thinking, if we can score next, this is the key from this point now. It's going back-to-back tries. That momentum that Leigh got against the men's team last week. Once you're on that little bit of a roll, that's when you can kick on and should start dominating games. But it's not always the case, but that's the way it should be. So once you come back to 12-10, you're thinking, right, next try, we push on.
Fortunately, we didn't push on. Sheffield scored again. I think her name's Lopracine Olga. She scored 40-metre dash, crashed through to score. Lauren Exley burst the line to make it 22-10 at half time. Sheffield were in a bit of got a roll there. Chantel Clark finished off a flowing move to make it 26-10. But then Salford hit back. Try from Sophie Morris. Good work from Salford through the middles. Sent Morris over for the score, and it was 26-16.
Yeah, like I say, once Sheffield have got on that roll, they've taken that gap. Even at that point, 26-16 is quite a lot. I know it is gettable, but you've got to go on a roll and score three tries against a team that's the momentum's against you. Very difficult to do. The one thing that the ladies obviously have to do, just not give up, keep fighting at that point, and hoping, maybe the game had gone a little bit, but to stay in the game and keep that points difference as narrow as possible. But again, I don't know what went on in the game. I don't know, obviously we've travelled. I don't know how tired the girls are. I don't know, a lot of them have been working all week. It's a different, we're not talking about full-time professionals here. So a lot of factors may go into what happens in the last part of the game, and that's that's obviously where it gets away a little bit.
Yeah. Sheffield scored again. Tori Morris, she went over in the corner to make it 30-16. Salford continued to fight on bravely. Emily Bagley went short side to make it 30-20 with 10 minutes to go. But then Izzy Brennan came into her own, scored 2 tries at the death to make it 40-20. And like you say, it's a tough place to go. Sheffield are in good form. I'm sure we will take a lot from it moving forward. It's like we talked about with the men. When it comes to playoff football later in the season, we know where Sheffield levels are, and that's the levels we need to reach if we want to beat them and go up. So it's a learning lesson in defeat.
I think that Brennan, obviously, I think, did she score 3?
Yeah, I think so.
You can take them points out of that game. It's different. It's a different game, different scoreline completely. And that one player can make, that's what I'm saying about, make such a difference. When it comes to the playoffs, is she going to be available? Is she going to be called back to York? Is there any point? Because obviously, as Alton found out a couple of years ago, when you've got all these players on sort of a dual reg, you'll miss out on promotion because you won't be allowed to go up to that next league because there's a conflict of interest in many ways. So again, that reliance later in the season might come back to bite them a little bit. And hopefully by then we can, we've just got to take revenge on them when they come down here. That's the thing. We've got to make sure we win our own games because it's going to be tough at certain places. But like I say, Sheffield look like they might be the benchmark at the moment. So we can take a lot out of the game. We managed to score a few points. We've been beaten by an individual in many ways. A quality player who's probably a little bit above what we can achieve at the moment. So again, not a massive negative. I know you say 40-20 and it sounds probably worse than it was.
Yeah. Let's move on to the reserves. They were in action away at Wigan, went down to defeat 34 points to 20. Battling performance from Stuart Wilkinson's boys. Wigan opened the scoring, 80-metre try from Hodgkinson. He gave it to Farrimore, who scored to make it 6-0. Though Salford hit back with a try from Charlie McCure. He burst the line to make it 6-all. And then Salford took the lead. Try from Finn Yates after a Jordan Brown break, and Salford led 10-6.
Yeah, I've done a quick scan through David Clegg's report on this game, and I saw a little flash up on X when they were playing about when it got to half time and we were in the game. And this is Wigan away. Wigan just produce. That's what they do. So their reserves are, if you want to see how good you are, you go up against them. And from what I've read, we matched them in large parts of that game. And this is obviously proving a point. When we're taking the lead at their gap, that's not going to be easy to do. Not many teams will manage that. You see the players that Wigan bring through. You see the quality. It's just bred into it. And I think from what I've read, it shows a massive advance in where we are in our reserves. Certain players are really, really standing out at the moment, and it's a great sign. Stu's obviously doing a great job with them, and that's I think to push Wigan at any level. We'll find out this Sunday where we're at as a first team. it's a key to how good you're doing. And I think at that point in that game as well, I think Wigan were probably a little bit stunned and wouldn't expect it. So full credit to him.
Talking about players that are shining, Nathan Connell is making an impression in our first team squad. He scored next for Stuart Wilkinsons men. Kick through, chase his own kick, grounded to make it 14-6 Salford. But then, like you say, Wigan just before half time, 2 tries. Salford went in behind 16-14. Second half started much the way the first half started, with a try from Wigan to make it, I think it was 22-14. But then Salford did hit back with a try from Dan Harrison after good work from Nathan Connell, made it 22-20. But just like the first half, 2 late tries in the second half, and Wigan took the spoils.
Well, like I said before about Wigan and lending out players to other Super League teams. So these are players that would probably play in their reserves. So then they're picking reserves probably from their academy, and their academies they'll just bring more in and more in. So the other thing is our lads who play, basically the same ones that are going to play every week. There's not going to be another 5, 6, 7 players all waiting to come in. That's not where we're at. Wigan have got that. So when it gets to just before our time and then later in the game, they'll probably have fitter, fresher players who maybe haven't played as much, but are still in that Wigan system. I mean, can you imagine if those players that we're going to have loaned out were playing as well? The levels we're talking about here, we're talking Super League players that they've brought in from other places who can't get a game against our lads, who yet most of them aren't ready yet. Certain ones are. I think Connell will certainly push on, and hopefully, if the club can keep hold of him and make him one of our main pet projects, if you like. There's a couple of others. I know the centre's really good, but overall, I think it's a magnificent effort against a great reserve side, and it just shows the progress we've made in the last couple of years, really, considering we didn't have a reserve side to what would be mostly an academy side in many ways, playing against real seasoned professionals sometimes. So yeah, I've said it about the ladies team. It's not really a negative in that result. You don't expect to go to Wigan at any level and win. That's the truth. So to go there and push them and be in the lead and give them something to think about shows great progress. And I think the lads should be really encouraged by what they achieved.
So that's a look back at all our matches, and now we'll see what's happening in the world of Salford Red Devils. So in the world of Salford Red Devils, Parky, we have made a signing. Harvey Wilson has come in from Wigan Warriors. 20 years old, forward. Like you say, we need more forwards to bulk that prop up or pack up even.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I know very little about him, so I've done a little bit of reading. Obviously, we know from his background, he's played at really good amateur clubs. And one thing that did stand out, I mean, he was at Clockface, and then he went to St Jude's, I think, in Wigan, and then he went to Siddle in Halifax. So that to me proves some kind of dedication that even at an amateur level, he's willing to travel to get to the level of Siddle produced some great players in recent years. I mean, I know Night Levels was from there, but it's been God knows how many. So he's obviously knows what he wants, and he's gone to Wigan. And if you've been in that, like I was saying about the academy, if you've been in that Wigan system, you've been brought through the right way, and hopefully this is his chance to shine. 20 years old now, he's got a long way to go as a forward. He's got before he gets his prime, but so hopefully we've picked up a good one. I've read what a few fans of other clubs have said. Bradford, Widnes, where he's been on loan recently, and they were really impressed with him. They've all said, we've picked up a good one. So, and our record of picking up these players from the lower grades or whatever has been really good. So, again, we just trust what Rowles is doing and Bleasy, and hopefully this guy's going to turn out the same. But he's got a long way to go. Obviously, he's not the answer to our pack problem at the moment, but who knows? 12 months' time, 2 years' time, he might be the next, the Tyler Dupree, if you like.
Yeah, he was part of the Wigan reserve grand final squad in 2023. He's a hard worker. which we've seen in reports. Also know that he's had an haircut as well. From the days when he was at Wigan, he had a big sort of boffer haircut, but now comes to Salford, he's got a shaved head. Must mean business backer like yourself.
That's what happens when you come to Salford. He must have been to Worthy's Barbers on Tootle Drive. Yeah, he's getting in with the. He probably looks like the rest of us now.
Yeah.
Either that or the stress of signing for Salford's made him lose all his hair. It's one I mean, I'm only 23 and look at me. So it's look, we can only think. I mean, hopefully he'll get a chance in the reserves as well to help help them lads out. But it'd be interesting to see how he comes on. And learning under Paul Rowleys would be great for him. Kurt Agata, getting into our way of playing. He looks like the kind of guy that's got the build that would fit into our team. You know what I mean? So I think hopefully, from what I've read, it looks like it could be a good signing.
Yeah. So good luck to Harvey. Like we always say on this podcast, nearly missed out on the old bingo. We are an opportunity club, and we're giving him an opportunity. That's what we do. Yeah. So I'd say good luck to him. We'll see how it plays out. Yeah. Other news: our ladies are holding mid-season trials. Obviously, we talked about the defeat against Sheffield. I know they've had a few injuries, so obviously they're looking for more talent to come in and help them on that push in the Championship.
Yeah, like we said before, we clearly need more players. The other week we turned up with 15 players. You need 17 to fill shirts and a couple of extras anyway. So, and that's not. I mean, there's obviously injuries, but the girls have other commitments. They work at weekends. Like you say, they're not professional. They do this because they love what they do. They love playing and love representing Salford, and that's something we've got to be grateful for. But they need help, and we do need bodies. So hopefully we can drag a few in. This time of the year as well, mid-summer, a lot of the girls who probably play rugby union won't have any games, so they may fancy coming down, giving it a go, see how they go, and keep them obviously fit and active throughout the summer months. So if they do go back to union, they're ready anyway. And it's a chance for them to to expand what they do. So. Yeah, hopefully we can get a few bodies turning up. There might be a few players at other clubs at the moment who aren't getting game time who fancy, joining up as well. And we've just got to look back at the progress we did make for the first couple of years and sell that to people and say, this is where we want to get back to now. We've already done it once, we'll do it again. So, hopefully we get a few bodies down and that'll help us out for the rest of the year.
Yeah, trial dates are Tuesday the 28th and Thursday the 30th. Club have got a link on their socials. If obviously players want to apply for it, they can fill in a questionnaire, send it to the club. Club tells them when to come down and trial. So yeah, exciting times. I'm sure we get a few more bodies in, like you say, Parky that can stay fit. Can work around employment, university, whatever, and then it makes our squad stronger, doesn't it? So when playoff time at the end of the season, when everyone's bedded in and everyone knows everyone's game, we can go in there firing, can't we?
Yeah. Like I say, a lot of the girls are obviously, like say, students as well. Well, if they need to work obviously to make ends meet. You're going to work at the weekend and evenings. Well, that's when you train and play. So it's very difficult for them. They put in a lot of commitment, these girls, for us, and I've done since the team started up. So. I have nothing but credit for them, and hopefully they can just get a bit more help and a few more bodies.
Yeah. Other bits of news: tickets for the Warrington away game are now available. So we'll buy it from the stadium. Club get 20-25% of every ticket sold. So helps put money in the tank for the club. Helps it grow. Helps it develop. If you're gonna go, buy it from the club.
Yeah, it's quite a big one, isn't it? Warrington away. It's always a good day out. We generally take decent numbers, and hopefully we can be in a decent bit of form. Middle of summer, maybe nice weather. Get down there, like you say, buying a ticket from the club. If you phone the club as well, they'll send it on to Warrington. You can pick it up at Warrington. You can't make it down to the stadium, and the club Salford still get the 20-25%, whatever it is. So. You don't actively have to go to the stadium, as I found out. But it's a great initiative, really, to make people go. too many people at the moment are staying at home as well, watching it on the telly because everything's on TV and every game. But there's nothing like being there. And as was proven, with the Leigh game, the support is phenomenal. And that atmosphere that you get, you're never going to get that watching on the telly, as I found out the other week. It's a killer. So, if you're going to go, buy a ticket from the club, give the club a bit more money. You never know, you might get the prop you need.
Yeah, I think I say it's a culture change in it, really, because people just used to just turn up, aren't they? Do the turnstile or whatever, and slowly manoeuvring ourselves into a supporters base that goes to this club and buys a ticket from the club, and that's baby steps. But you'll get there in the end.
Strangely enough, I think we're one of the very few clubs that doesn't have a culture of that, of buying tickets ahead.
Yeah.
We've always just turned up, mainly because probably in the past we haven't had that many numbers that you think, well, I'm getting in, it doesn't matter. Now there is an incentive to do that, to get down to the stadium or to buy a ticket from the club because the club get the money. But yeah, it's always sort of mystifying me that. And people used to say, I remember years ago, people saying, oh, so-and-so are coming to the Willows this week and they're bringing 700-800 with them. You go, how did they know that? Because they've already bought tickets. We'd be going away. Nobody would have a clue who was turning up. So I don't know where that thing comes from with our fans, really. But get your tickets. And I'm sure when we take a massive following, the news gets through to the players. All these people are travelling, and it must give them a bit of a lift before they even get there. And then obviously when they get there and they hear the noise, it's something else. But the Warrington game's always a big one, an important one. And for that game, they'll want revenge. I know we'll talk about it nearer the time, but I think we might need all the support we can get that day.
Yeah, and I think, like you say, our history of pre-buying tickets. I suppose clubs look at how many tickets they sold before and think, well, we'll only give Salford 200 because that's what they've sold last year. And if there's a rush on and 200 gets sold, club can then put out a allocation, a tweet or a Facebook message saying sold our allocation for the away game against Warrington. And that sends a message. It doesn't have to say we sold 200 tickets to Warrington. It says we've sold our allocation. We've got a big following coming to Warrington. Get yourselves down there or contact the club and get more tickets. So it's all spin. It's all messaging. That's the important thing, I think. It's just you've got to get the right message out there to hit the right people to make them react.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. As soon as you read allocation sold out, people go, "Wow, what?" It doesn't matter how many you've sold. You've sold your allocation. You sold what you've been given. And people are going, "Wow, that's a great response." But we'll get more. We'll ask for more. You might send another 200. You sell them. You go. Again, second lot's gone. And people start getting excited about it and going, are you coming to the game because you're selling tickets, selling out? People turn up. And that's, that and putting posters upside down.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the answer. Upside down posters. Yeah. Harry, if you're listening, get the posters upside down. People will read them. Come to market.
It's true. So, get down, get the tickets, but get them bought for every game, and bring your mates. And we need bums on seats. Wigan game usually sells itself this week. But the game after that is London at home, isn't it? I think, or is it after the next home game? And that'll take some selling because no, I'm not knocking London, but they might bring 10 fans. We need people turning up. Otherwise, firstly, we've still got IMG to convince that we're a Super League club. Second, I'm going to say it again. The money is so important to the club. We want success. We want success on the field. The only way we're going to get that is by getting money in the bank so we can go out and sign better players to keep hold of the players we've got. We can't do it without the money. And the money's only going to be coming through the fans. So buy your tickets.
But thinking about it, the club do have certain games where they have a certain day, don't they? They have like Army Day, Blue Light Day, other days that slipped my mind. Local, it's a homeless day. I think one was one. Community day.
Yeah.
So I'm sure somebody somewhere in the club will have that data where we know when it was Army Day, 3,000 Army men turned up and Army women turned up. So possibly use that when London come to town. So then you can you bump your crowd up artificially because obviously that's all part of the game, innit? But I'm sure somebody somewhere will be looking at that. And that's the thing, because I honestly think before nobody did, but now we do have people that do, which is good.
Yeah, that's one thing, but we do need, obviously, it's when you do something like that, you're generally giving tickets out, which is it can be a lost leader at times. Don't get me wrong, some people will come back, but it doesn't work very often. You need people paying the going rate to get in, and that's where the money is. And I agree with giving out tickets to certain people, certainly those who are less fortunate. I think that's something we've got to focus on quite a bit. That at these times it's a real struggle, and people just don't have that spare cash. Would love to come and watch us, love to bring the kids along, but can't do it because financially it's not there. That's one thing we got to do. But I think if you can pay, then pay. But we've got to get the bodies down there in the first place.
Yeah, but when you do get the tickets out, and like you say, it becomes lost leader. But then there's data, isn't there? There's addresses and there's emails. So you might not get money coming in for the turnstiles, but you might get 3,000 emails to start spamming with offers. So they might think, "Oh, I've had a good day." Or Salford then ping me with an email saying, "Come to the next game for a tenner." They might think, "You know what? We had a good time at Salford. I think we'll go again." And then suddenly they're in the wheel, aren't they?
Yeah.
So
that's exactly it. And like you said before about the data collection, something that we weren't overly sharp on for quite a while. We were giving out free tickets and nobody had a clue who to or what for.
Yeah.
So that needs collecting. And then if you bring in 1,000 new people and you get all the email addresses, and the next time you might only get 10 of them coming back. It's 10 people that you didn't have, and that's the only way we're ever going to grow. But again, there's not a huge amount of staff behind the scenes at the club to troll through all that and make all that happen as quickly as we'd like. So, but we've all got to play our own bit, I think, and get people down there. So, but yeah, please just buy tickets and turn up.
Yeah. And I think it is becoming a success. Obviously, the schools link and the foundation, and it's all coming together. Like you say, it's baby steps in it. And I suppose Paul King probably wants it done quicker, but Snail always wins the race. It takes as long as it takes. It takes us 2 years. It takes us 2 years. It takes us 5 years. It takes us 5 years to build a fan base that won't go away after the next defeat, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's the difficulty. I mean, it's one thing we don't control is what happens on the pitch a lot of the time. There's been times where we have attracted great crowds and got an absolute slapping, and people have gone, "I'm not going there again." That's the problem you've got. You can't control that, but again, you kind of narrow that happening if you have better players, and better players come with better money, and better money comes through better crowds. We could go around in circles here, but I know the club have got a plan, or the council have got a plan moving forward. They want that stadium full as well. If they're going to own it, got to make a bit of money. So it's in all our interest, certainly us Salford council taxpayers anyway, to have the stadium working for us. Who knows? We don't know what's around the corner, do we? We don't know what's going to happen we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow with our club, never mind the next 6 months. So I've just got to stay positive and like I say, just keep turning up.
Yeah, I think it talks about today the general election being called. I don't know how that affects the stadium, because obviously all the MPs are now will just be like, going, going out in the local area, won't they, campaigning. So I hope that doesn't affect our stadium thing, but I don't know. I hope it's all done and dusted and just waiting for a time to announce it. It's probably the worst time to get an election for that particular thing.
I think there's two sides to that. One, and please, I'm not making this a party political thing, but this is Salford. There's only one winner. So if you're a Labour candidate, you're probably safe. So those that are in there now who have to restand, will win anyway. And if we do end up with a Labour government, I can only work in the favour of a Labour council. You would think. So it may actually help us progress things, maybe funding, maybe pots of cash. You don't know. I'm not telling anybody which way to vote. Do what you want. Don't vote if you don't want. I mean, none of them are really worth voting for, but that's a different matter. But so I don't really mind. I think, yeah. So what? This is a council issue that's going on anyway. no matter what happens with the election. So this is a process that's happening. So yeah, I think we'll be all right, to be honest.
Okay. For Billy Balance, as other parties, Conservatives, Liberal Democrats, Greens, Independents. So pick your party. Other news. Ellery Hanley is in Club 13 for the Wigan game, having like a pre-match. I think it's breakfast. I think Parker having a business networking event. Exciting. Obviously, we want a community club. We want the businesses in the community to be together as well. So I think it's a really good thing with the Club 13. It's been going for a couple of years now, I think. When you see the highlights that they put out on social media, it's always quite a full room. So it seems like it's doing well.
Yeah, I said a few weeks ago when they announced it, about a month ago, that just listening to Ellie Ranley and some of his stories must be, it'd be magnificent, really. What a player, one of the best I've ever seen. He was different gravies. When I really fell in love with the game, watching people like him, and as much as I didn't like him at the time because he was tearing us a new one. What a player! But yeah, no, it'd be great to listen to him. These events do have to happen. You do need business. I'm talking about the fans turning up. We need businesses. We need people with real money to put the money, their hand in their pocket and keep helping us. We need to attract new sponsors if we're going to move forward. And the club have done really well at that, I think, in recent times. I know there's been new sponsors popping up around the ground on the shirts and so on. So that's a great thing. And it's just a shame it's not one of our own legends. But I think that's part of the profile of rugby league. I was sort of going off tangent here, but I was listening to an interview with Eddie Hearn the other day about when he sat down with the rugby league and spoke about the profile and things like that. And he said he could only name 3 rugby league players, and all of them were past. There isn't a single superstar in rugby league right now, and that's not helping the profile of the game. So Ellery he named him, and he's the big name in boxing. So it shows what great attraction it is to have him at Salford this week. But the game itself needs more superstars. It really does. We need to raise the profile of these. I mean, these are proper athletes, these lads. They don't get half the respect, and they certainly don't get the money they deserve. But so I think that's another thing that I've kept the rugby league for. But yeah, going back to Ellery and the breakfast thing, I think it'd be a great occasion to go and sit and listen to him and listen to what he's got to say. I'm sure as a motivator as well, I'm sure he's pretty good because he's captain of some really good team. Obviously, Great Britain, but Wigan. He went over to Western Suburbs in Australia, and they adored him over there. He nearly single-handedly won him a grand final in the 80s against Balmain. Or was it? I can't remember. Anyway, and he got flattened later in the game, and they ended up losing. But what a player! So yeah, that should be very interesting to listen to him.
Yeah. So £150 if you're a business, want to get involved in that, bit of networking, prove your business status in the local area and the Salford Red Devils community, and meet Ellery Hanley as well. I mean, super stuff. Final bit of news. Salford Devils reserve coach Stuart Wilkinson is hosting a webinar on sort of talent spotting the next generation. We all know he's a well-decorated coach, very experienced. Great that he's involved for us to nurture our next generation through. You can find it on the club's Twitter, a link to it. I suppose it's more sort of directed towards other coaches, amateur clubs or school coaches or university coaches to help them develop, which then helps develop the game too.
Yeah, well, like you said, we're very lucky to have Stuart. He's one of the best signings we've probably made, one of the key signings in terms of what he does, his knowledge of the game and players and everything else. So again, yeah, if you're an amateur coach or whatever, you may think there's a guy or a girl in one of your teams that you might have something, but you're not sure how to take them in the next direction or how to help them, or they may stand out in your team and you think, oh, they look great, Mike. How good are they? He'll be able to point in the right direction. I would have thought of, how to help them, how to bring them on, and how to encourage those talented players who maybe don't shine so much at a certain age or whatever, some late bloomers and that kind of thing, how to sort of nurture that. So yeah, that'd be again quite good, and hopefully that'll get some interest, certainly from local amateur coaches who are all doing a great job, and it might encourage them just to join in.
Yeah, so you can find that on the club socials. So that's all the news. Now we'll look forward to Wigan. So Salford Red Devils are at home to Wigan Warriors on Sunday. Big test at Parquet. Obviously Wigan coming to town. Always a fixture that we look at. We talked about levels, didn't we? Playoff rehearsals, we'll call it. And I think this one is a rehearsal.
Yeah, second time we've played them at home already. We've not even played Catalan at all yet. Bit bizarre. Very odd. It's the biggest challenge you're going to face in Super League for me. Certainly this season. Their squad is magnificent, covered in all areas. They can get injuries and just draft in somebody else. And certainly their pack is huge and dominant now. I know we were discussing off air. I think they've could have lost 3 players, I think. One from a couple of weeks ago, Leigh and Byrne, and then a couple of others from the semi-final last week. So that might help us a little bit. But then, like I say, they've got players out on loan they could easily just call back in and stick straight in their Super League players. But we pushed them last time. We really pushed them. We should have beat them. We really should have. One error cost us the game, didn't it? So hopefully we can get around that and make them work again. Because that night I thought we were the better team for 75 minutes. Yeah, I think we shocked Wigan, and we certainly shocked their fans. We showed our capability to get a few players back. Hopefully, obviously we don't know the squad till tomorrow or Friday. We're not dead sure. So it's going to be a test. For me, I said at the start of the year, I think we're going to win everything this year. Well, they're into the cup final already. They've won the World Club Challenge. I do fancy them for Super League. So if you are going to mix it and get into them playoffs, these are the games that you're going to be facing against the best, and it just won't get any tougher. So it's going to be a good test. Wigan been a little bit up and down. Obviously got that beating at Old KR the other week, but certainly revenged it last week against them in the cup. They were unbelievable. They didn't give Old KR a chance to breathe, and the form they've been in. So it's a massive test, and one that, I mean, it's the one you look forward to, I suppose, every year, isn't it? Wigan at home. It's the big game in many ways. But I think they're a very dominant side at the moment. They seem to have all areas covered, and then they've got the X factor. They've got a Jaifield or a Bevan French who can do something destructive in a second and turn it round. Or they've got forwards who will dominate you, grind you down, and then on the back of that, a great kicking game from Harry Smith. So massive task. But one I'm sure that Rowleys has got the boys up for.
Yeah, I think it's important you play the team, not the shirt. Obviously, we know what Wigan bring, all the history. Like you say, top players now. But looking at the stats, our local form mirrors theirs. 1-3, lost 1. They are top try scorers in the league with 54, but we're second most offloads with 120, and we're top marker tacklers at 648 at the moment. So we are tracking quite high in certain categories. But yeah, it's going to be a test, and that's what it is. I think when you want to be a team who are competing at the right end of the table come playoff time, you've got to mark yourself up against the likes of Wigan and see where you are. And I think it's important. I'm sure, like the players, they know what they need to do to get the result, and you've got to leave it in their hands. They'll be training all week. They've had a week off. They've thrown the league performance in the bin, and they'll be ready to go again this week.
Yeah, I think one thing we've got to do though is keep it tight defensively. We don't score many points. I don't know why this year we don't. I don't think any game we've gone out and blown anyone away. We don't seem to have that in us at the moment. So if we're going to win, we're not going to win by many. So we've got to be really, really tight. And that, I know we've said we'll leave the league game behind, but if we defend anything like we did that night, it could be 60 or 70. That's the problem you've got. Whereas if we defend like we did in the first game against Wigan, you know, we made it really difficult, and 2 mistakes, or 1 mistake really, and then from the next kick off, that went wrong. But you're chasing the game, then we can be in the game. But yeah, it's going to be a massive ask for the lads, and hopefully, like I say, we've got some bodies back. I know probably Jake Shorrocks will still be missing, and probably Joe Mellor, but I don't know about the other guys. But we need to sharpen them, certainly around the acting half with the ball. We need to step that up a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be some interesting battles around the pitch. I don't think there's a better centre partnership in the league than ours, but they've got decent centres as well. They've got plenty of pace, so it'll be an interesting game. It really will. And as I've said elsewhere, you know, there's always a chance. There's always a chance in Super League. If you're slightly off, you're going to get beat. And Wigan could be slightly off. They could be celebrating this week. I don't know. Getting to the cup final, I don't think so. I don't think Matty Peake's that kind of coach, and I think he's a brilliant coach, and I've got a lot of respect for him. He's a great orator of the game, and he's got a lot. You know, every time he talks about anybody else, he's really respectful, and I think he'll have his players back to the grind on Monday or Tuesday, straight back into it, studying videos, doing what they do. So yeah, this is the big test, and I think for me, it's more about performance after the league game than result. I mean, if we did beat them, obviously, don't get me wrong, I'd be shouting from the rooftops, but we need to get a performance out of ourselves to cover up for what we did the other day.
Yeah, prediction time now, Parky. Don't forget, I'll say it again, Nando's chicken if you get the result and Salford win. But don't let that influence your decision. You go with what you feel.
You see, the trouble is, I can't, because I went with Salford against Leigh, even though I didn't believe it and they got beat. So I can't do it. I can't lie to myself and all the listeners. I can't. I've got to be honest. And I think Wigan will be too strong. Having watched them last week, if they'd have played poorly last week, like they did against OKR a couple of weeks ago, I'd have said they look like they're wobbly. And we've got a great chance. The confidence is down. Again, they've lost a few players. But off the back of that, they must be flying. They must be absolutely buzzing. And we've got to get back, drag ourselves up from our bootlaces from the last week. So, but we have got it in us. We can cause problems. And we will, I think we will score a few tries, but I think we might just edge it. I'm going to go Salford 16, Wigan 24.
24-16 Wigan.
Yeah.
I have the taste of chicken in my mouth. I can feel it coming. I could smell it, Parky. I think Paul Rowleys and his men, after Leigh last week, will be righting a few wrongs. Like you said, it's just about staying in the contest.
Yeah,
and I think these kind of games, the longer you stay in the contest, the more nervous they get.
Yeah.
Because they're Wigan. They should be winning easy. So it's that part of it as well that needs to be, you know, measured as well. So I'm going to go Salford 26, Wigan 22. 26-22, Brian Briley hat-trick.
That'll do. I mean, my big fear is there, not just Field and French, obviously, but Miskey and Marshall out wide. We conceded a lot of tries on the wings, a lot of tries, being caught out. There's a few against Leigh where, because of the way we defend and we come in, you get the ball to them too, game over. So we've got to stop that. We've got to stop them. The one thing we have got to do, and we did brilliantly in the first game against them, was made them play in their half. We didn't let them near our line, and that was magnificent. And they really struggled from there. So if we can do that again, we've got a fighting chance. We really have. I was just thinking then, by the way, it's 23 years, 23, all right, to near more or less to the week, I think, when we got the 31-30 win over them at the Willow. I know that for a reason. Many people will also know that reason. But yeah, it's 23 years. I think it might have been last weekend, but 23 years. So this week would have been that same week. We'd have been celebrating that win. So yeah, I think so. But that that was a memorable day. So who knows? Could be omens in there.
Yeah. Graham Allroy drop goal.
Yeah,
I think it was.
I'll settle for a Mark Sneed drop goal. Win 1-0. I don't care. But yeah, look, it's going to be tough. We're under no illusions, and I'm sure the players aren't. But we get bodies back. Like I say, if you're on it and they're not, who knows?
Yeah. So that's the end of this week's podcast. Big thanks for everyone tuning in. I want to say big thanks for all the Salford Reds, especially Mark Hay, who've donated in the last few weeks, allowed us to invest in our equipment. Not tonight, but hopefully the next podcast, Parky will sound much more clearer. Excited about that, Parky?
Yeah, I'm not sure the listeners are.
Yeah,
I am indeed. Yeah. And these are the little things that we're trying to do to improve and get better. We said it a year ago that we want to push on and take this podcast to a different level if we can. And this kind of these little things will help certainly, and it'll make life easier for everybody else to hear me and hopefully Paul in the future, and we can move on. But yeah, listen, the donation, Mark, I said, I spoke to him earlier on. I can't thank him enough for that. He's very, very generous, and everybody who contributes to us. I say it every week. It's mind blowing. Really is mind blowing that people are willing to do this in these, these tough times, and it just, helps. And as I said, for me personally, it gives me an outlet that I don't generally have at the moment. I'm not housebound, but I'm not far off it. So getting out and speaking to you guys via this is, it's life changing in many ways. So I can't, as a personal, thank you. It's again, I'm just going to say again, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, and obviously, I every podcast that we do, it does blow my mind. People listening, and it blows my mind, like you say, when people come up to you and say that was great, thanks for doing what you're doing with the podcast. And also, like you say, with the Salford Reds, like you say, giving us their hard-earned money to help us improve this podcast to make it even better. And obviously, we're going into competitions like the Independent Podcast and the Sports Awards podcast because we feel that we've got a podcast that we can be proud of. And I think it would be almost criminal if we weren't involved in that. You know what I mean? The amount of effort we put in and the amount of support we get from everybody, not just the listeners, our families as well, who put up with a lot of stuff that we have to do with this podcast. They can't be forgotten in all this. But it's it's tremendous that listeners continue to tune in and continue to help us grow.
Yeah, and there is more to come. We're still working on things. It's been a little bit tricky in the last month or so to get any progress with a couple of things that I've certainly been trying to work on or look to do, but mainly just because of me and sort of health and headspace. But look, we will get better. We will keep moving on, and just please just stick with us. Hopefully, we can get Paul on as well when we can. Miss him. He's kind of the bit of a sage, so we need him back. But yeah, and then hopefully pushing on to bringing in other people to interview and bringing you stuff that unfortunately you don't get from anywhere else. You don't get some of the information you should get perhaps, and we want to be that outlet for you. So just thank you so much for all your support, and we'll keep going, and hopefully we get to report on more Reds wins, and next week might be a big jovial one.
Yeah. So big thanks for joining us on this Devil in the Detail. I'm Rob Parkinson. You can find us on Facebook, Devil in the Detail SRD. You can find us on X at DITDSRD. And you can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, and rubberleague.com. Good luck, Reds. We'll see you on the other side.